Hello. So in this video, I want to talk about two friendship activities that you could do with older students. So let's say third, fourth, fifth grade, something like that. So the first one could be called listening or listening ears activity. And this particular activity, you want to improve listening skills and also empathy. So you're focusing on those two skills. And it's very simple. You probably actually did something like this in your training to be a counselor, but you pair students up. One student talks about an activity or something, whatever you could give them a topic, or they can just pick a topic to talk about. They only talk about it for about a minute while the other person listens. And then once the time is up, the person who listened reflects back to the person who was talking, and they not only try to identify what that person talked about, but also identify any feelings that would be involved. And then once they have had it turn to do that, then they switch roles, and the person who was the listener now is the one who talks about an activity, and the other person listens. Obviously, at the beginning, before you even do this activity, you want to talk a lot about how you listen, what you listen for, about communication, about identifying feelings, maybe something about body language and feeling. It's really endless how many different things you can talk about because communication, of course, is so complicated. And so there is a lot that can be learned in this very simple activity. And you can even switch up partners and, just keep going with it in that way. So it's great for teaching about developing friendship, but it's also really a great way at the beginning of the year for kids to get to know each other. The second activity that I want to talk about is the compliment chain. And it's similar to one that I already spoke about in another video that you can do with younger students. But in this particular one, you want to focus a lot more on what is a compliment. How can you give a compliment that is not very superficial? So rather than saying, I like your hair, I like your shirt, I would teach students to say, I like the way you, and then complete that sentence. So then they're talking more about qualities, they're talking more about interaction, and it's not quite so superficial. So you want to teach how to give a compliment. It's also important to talk about how to accept a compliment because lots of us have trouble with that. And so you want to give them some idea about, do they say thank you or I appreciate that, or just some different things to say, because it's often a little difficult to know how to accept a compliment. Then once you've done a little training on that, you can do it in a lot of different ways. You can, again, form a circle, and each person, you can go around the circle where you give a compliment to the person on your left, and then they do to the next person. That's very good training for giving compliments with someone that, maybe is not somebody that you know very well. And of course, you would need to probably talk about that a little bit. You can also do it individually where you select someone, they come up, sit in a chair, and then students raise their hand if they would like to give a compliment to that person, and they call on someone. And again, you want to uh, really be involved in terms of helping students identify really meaningful ways to give compliments. Once it's all over, then you can certainly talk about why compliments are important, how compliments, how we feel when we get a compliment, and how it's really one of the best ways to meet somebody is to begin with a compliment. I noticed this. I really like the way you did that. And so a compliment game, a compliment chain is a great way to teach friendship skills and also to make friends at the beginning of the school year. So I'm Lynn Watts with WyattTheWonderDog.com, and thanks so much for listening.